Hey guys, thanks a lot for the positive feedback on my latest tutorials. I really appreciate it. This is the second part of how I sculpt the goblin from the concept of Christopher's own shoe. I put a link down in the description to his gallery and a link to the first part of this tutorial if you haven't seen it yet. Here I clean up the sculpt a bit more and refine some of the shapes. I also work on blending the different polygroups together, like on the fingers, and at this stage I leave the mesh in 4 different polygroups: the torso, the arms, the legs and the head. I do this because I want to be able to work on the individual parts and because it's really useful at the shoulder area when the arm is a separate polygroup. This way I can still work easily on the armpit, for example, and it makes my life easier when it comes to retopologizing. Otherwise the mesh would be fused together and I couldn't work on the areas where the arm is in contact with the chest. Here I add the toenails as a separate subtool, and I do this because I like to have parts of the model that are of a different material, like the toenails, nails, or the teeth, or the eye, for example, to be separate objects to make it more organized and to make my life easier when it comes to texturing and shading, and oftentimes rigging as well. And for that I use the clipping brush to get rid of the old nails, and I only do the nails on the right side of the goblin, so I can use the mirror and weld function that you can find in the geometry palette under the modify topology tab. And here I define the different muscles a bit more and work on the shoulder blade, which is really important for the back view. I oftentimes see sculpts where they only paid attention to the muscles, but forget where they are attached to. And the scapula plays a really important role when it comes to the shapes of the upper back, so make sure to think about it when you sculpt the back of a character. And here I try to get all the shapes to a point where it's ready for retopologizing. I try to make sure that the silhouette and the major forms will not change anymore, because when it would change after I did the retopology, I might have to retopologize certain areas again, and then I would have to redo the UVs as well. So make sure you're at the stage where your model that you're happy with before you start to retopologize it. Here I put the model to rest for one night, so I got a fresh view on the character, and this way I saw a lot of things in my sculpt that were not matching with the concept. So I make sure to get as much information from the concept into my sculpt as I can. And if I see a mistake, I make sure to tackle it right away, and don't say to yourself that you can do the change later, because chances are that you will forget it. Or worse, you could keep working on things that you know should be changed, so you waste time in the end and the result will suffer from it. Here I'm still refining some of the secondary forms and working on the transitions of the different shapes. And now the model is ready for the retopology. Unfortunately, Zbrush crashed a couple of times, so I lost some of the recordings. For the retopology, I insert Z-sphere as a new subtool and click on the Edit Topology button in the Topology menu. And I will do a more in-depth tutorial soon about my retopology workflow, where I will show step by step how I approach organic topology. That will be a follow-up tutorial to another tutorial where I will talk about my thinking process when I'm working on the proportions of a human head. Now you can see how I make use of the different polygroups of the body while I do the retopology. and if the model would be completely dynameshed as a single polygroup, this area would be really painful to retopologize inside of Zbrush. I also edited out some of the steps because it's a really repetitive and time-consuming process. What you can see here in this video took me around 3 to 4 hours, and I spent most of the time on the retopology. But let me know in the comments if you want to see all of the recordings in the future, or if you want me to make the videos even shorter. And when it comes to toes and fingers, I like to retopologize just one of each and then bring the low poly model into Maya to duplicate them and attach them to the missing parts. Because toes and fingers are really annoying to retopo, and it's a lot faster this way, and the result is oftentimes cleaner. And when I'm in Maya, I can also add some more edge loops, like on the arms or the legs, and make adjustments to the topology when it's necessary. And I usually do my UVs in Maya as well. You could do everything in Zbrush, but for me it works better and faster like this. So that's it. In the next tutorial I will show you how I detail the Goblin and hopefully finish the sculpt. If you have some critique or suggestions for the tutorials or this model, let me know in the comments. And I hope you found this helpful, and thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.